Margaret Roy, my grandmother, is a native New Yorker, raised in Buffalo, where as a young musician she studied violin with Isabel Workman Evans. She holds a master's degree in voice from the New England Conservatory. Mrs. Roy has enjoyed a successful career as a contralto soloist and music educator. For many years, she was a soloist at Marble Collegiate Church in New York City. She is a winner of the Metropolitan Opera auditions and was a member of the original Broadway cast of Candide. The family spent many summers as state campers at Site 1392 in the Adirondack Forest Preserve. In 1975, she moved from Westchester County to Saranac Lake, where she formed a construction company and built the Tamarack Houses, an apartment complex which accommodated the medical staff of the 1980 Olympics. In 1982, Mrs. Roy opened the Yum Yum Tree on Main Street. The little shop, which specializes in croissants and spirited truffles, quickly became a favorite meeting place for writers. Mrs. Roy's poetry reflects her years of varied experience, musical sensitivity, and life in the mountains. She says,
I, who ever sang a song another wrote, now mold, massage these metaphors in order to preserve a new endeavor. Creation. The Mohawk story begins. In the regions above there dwelt man-beings, who knew not what it was to die. Sorrow and death were thus unknown to them. The legend continues. And in one lodge, which faced the rising and extended to the setting sun, lived a brother and a sister. She tended him and waited on him, and in time she bore a girl child, who was to become the mother of us all. And death came to this child's father, and those man-beings knew death for the first time. The girl child grew rapidly, and in all things she communicated and was guided by the spirit of her father. When she had matured, she was directed by the spirit of her father to seek a husband. And so, bearing a fine basket of bread on her back, held there by the forehead strap, she journeyed toward the rising sun, through the forests of the sky, to the river in the sky, a river she crossed on a log of maple. In all things she was tempted and tried, but sustained by the spirit of her father, until in a village, in a grassy clearing, in the sky world, she found the chief in his lodge and said, "We will marry." And again she was tried and wounded and bled in silence. And the chief said, "Now indeed we will marry." They abode together, being espoused, and miraculous things took place. After a time he said, "I am ill." The people did not understand what that was. When he did not recover, they inquired what to do. He told them, "Uproot the blossoming tree of light, the sun in the doorway." And when they had accomplished that, there was created a great gaping hole in the sky, through which could be seen nothing. And he said, "Look." And as she looked into the dark, he pushed her into the hole. Now he said to the people, "Replace the tree." And the roots of the tree again filled the sky hole, and the woman fell through the darkness into the blueness, and she looked, and there was nothing. The woman fell into the blueness, and there was, finally, a great expanse of water below. On the surface of the water, a loon, looking up, saw her falling. He called to other waterfowl to fly with him and catch her and hold her. He called the great turtle to float below, and gently, slowly, they descended with their burden and placed her on the turtle's back. In time, Turtle's back became the earth, and from the woman came all people. Now just today, a great frigid blanket rolled from the west, and I looking east on River Street over the turreted, crenellated ice palace at the edge of the lake, above Mackenzie and Scarface, another range of mountains there, great black thunderclouds, and in the cleft, funneled to the east, a great vista of plains and rivers illuminated by the sun tree of light led to the sky world, where once dwelt man-beings who knew not what it was to weep, nor what it is to die. January 26, 1987. Death in the Family, 1710. It is unwise for good reason, especially on steeper slope at the water's edge, to clear-cut, towering ancient forest. Like dominoes, neighboring survivors, deprived of their society, roots drowned in displaced intermittent streams, stand helpless, unwilling victims before the sudden storm. True, it was a mighty blast that felled 4 members of this respected hemlock family. For near 3 centuries the matriarch had flourished, distributed her progeny along the shore, watched while the first people, those bark-eaters, fished Lonesome Pond, heard Champlain's blunderbusses roar, saw trappers' bateaux with pelts of beaver, mink, and catamount laden to the waterline, welcomed woodpecker, thrush, and crow, sheltered white-tailed deer from winter's rage. Whispers winding from the south told her tales of Mohawk Molly, the trials and strength of Haudenosaunee. She heard the loggers come near but pass her by, the channel to the Saranac too shallow for her girth. Mountains and lakes separated her from fires that followed the cinder-spewing locomotive. 1994. For 2 centuries of independence she grew strong and straight, her heart of iron. Even in dying, this gentle giantess pushed over roots and all, taking with her vast earthy sustenance. She leaned against my house, locked in a corner of the roof, scalped of all her branches, her children chainsaw cut away, the sodden plot of roof and duff deserted her, fell back into its stony bed. She crashed in one vast howl, thundered to the forest floor. We could not know how old she was, plotted with pencil, magnifying glass, the decades of her life, counted rings, astonished. She lies there now, surrounded by her branches turning brown. They fill the new created gully. We wonder at the small amount of ignorance it takes to bring the treasure down. I planted 4 white pines of peace quite near her, but on higher ground. In memoriam, I whispered. Long after I am gone, those sturdy conifers will guard this place from adversity of storm, stupidity of man. Full color. Almost dark. I hurry home all day, driving north, searching the hills for scarlet. Not yet. Too soon. Only an errant maple proclaims its independence. Next week, for sure. Sudden there, shadowed in the dusk, look again. In the bowl of the mountain, full color murmurs, remember me, I will come to you. I fed my children summer. After the rain most often, usually after the rain, but sometimes too at daybreak when fog, lifting from the lake, climbs the wooded slope, see them, misty swirls above the treetops. Call them witches' cauldrons. Always in the same place, perhaps a spring or cold rock outcropping there, they mark the end of rain, a fair time to come. And so I fed my children summer, and saffron steeped, brewed in sibilant dream, bodied brain, sinewed spirit, consumed in witch's cauldron, they grew straight, strong, heedless of the quiet storm, the arid rain, the darkened day to come, grew each in his own way, different from the sameness, unafraid. Ever the water there, as the first sea-emergent creature, umbilicus tide returned, we sought the water. After Saipan, after Eniwetok, Pacific Coronado enticing, but not for us, who knew and measured time in quartos of exuberance. Crocus, peony, pumpkin, snow. We traveled home to that maligned metropolis of Baltic immigrants who milled the wheat, forged the steel for half a continent. Long forgot a French explorer's vision of Niagara that named the spot Beau Fleuve. Would that have made a difference? Then left behind the chasm cataract skirting Ontario's fruitful shore, past Finger Lake Necklace northward, to where that last great glacier relentlessly grinding churned throughout millennia sculpted Adirondacks, Mohawk, Adirondacks, where in primordial confrontation, sapling of the rose right-handed and flint of the thorn left-handed, twin brothers met in ultimate struggle, and all that was good was victorious, and the mountain moved. Adirondack, Au Sable, Saranac, drained eastward to Champlain, south to Hudson's Harbor, Oswegatchie, grass, to St. Lawrence vast alluvial plain, where one shining day breached the seal, freed the lakes called Great. And at that place began all those milestone-marking summers, rolled together, but remembered in the smell of farmland. New-turned earth, long winters pungent, nose-tingling, eye-tearing manure spread to nourish another season. Then soon the lilac, lavendered White House doorways, decorated graves of grandfathers, remembered a tiny brother, Harlan, suddenly, inexplicably dead at 2. Drenched town hall the night he would have, should have, graduated. Tell about the strawberries, most of all the strawberries, great double crimson giants bred for juice and sweet, stained our hands, our chins, gobbled, sun-baked in the field, carried to the kitchen on basket trays heaped high, juice dripped from our elbows as we pinched the hulls, all pervading, everywhere the smell went with us, crept into our clothes, perfumed our sleep, and all those strawberry-smelling Sundays, the cool, moist, musty church, breathed of strawberries and blessed assurance. Never a birthday cake for Robert on the 4th of July, after the sparklers, torpedoes, Roman candles, happy birthday to you, and the turkey platter, layered with shortcake, sodden, drowned and dripping juice and berries, an Everest of vanilla-sugared whipped cream. And always Aunt Mildred remembered how she had teased the little boys long ago when their mother was away, gave Donald, who hated it, lots, and Robert none, and how they cried. Move on now, through the summer hayfields, the ozone smell of sun-dried wash stiff from the line. Tell about the blueberries. Did they smell like the strawberries? No, not that. Frosted, blue-black, the orbs grew wild, the size of Grand Union cultivates. They smelled of Aiken's swamp. High overhead, they grew in Aiken's swamp. Barely discernible the track back of the barn, bracken overgrown down to the wetland, only faintly remembered, forgotten those long war years, not visited by mothers of sons, surely forgotten by Evelyn, death distracted. Her curly-haired, blue-eyed, hell-raising daredevil son, fallen from the sky, instantly cremated dead. Robert's would-be brother. His shadow, not yet faded, hovered near as we squished from hummock to hillock, each step raising the smell of decay. But then, could they have been as high, as fat, as blue, as black, as sweet as I remember? Yes. Come with me. Buckle belt the pail at your waist, not mine. Not mine where Christopher rolled and kicked and hiccuped his way to being. And do not think I did not think she did not think of Jimmy's children not to be. And yet we were not sad that long hot afternoon as we picked the berries, telling tales of mischief, deviltry, laughter, and joy that Jimmy must always be. What happened to the water? Get back to the water. Off River Road, north of Boyce's farm, the town beach was there, often visited before the tankers, the locks, before the seaway, a substitute for mountain lakes. In some long dusk, while moths fanned the ceiling light, the glider grated. We sat on the screened-in porch and planned. Let's take the cousins, all of them girls, 12 and tongue-tied, struck dumb by adults, full of whispers and giggles otherwise. The cousins, portrait by Longfellow, grave Anna and Cartha, laughing Virginia, and Doris with golden hair, eager to be with Robert, returned in navy blue and gold, eager to escape mothers and chores, to be with my mystery child. Did we all fit into the brand new 1947 two-door gunmetal gray red leather seats convertible top Chevrolet? Of course not. It must have been Fern, youngest of aunts who went along, Madrid to Canton, Seavy's Corners, baskets at Childwall, ghostly Piercefield, southward at Tupper to Eaton's campground, return to childhood remembered. Did the lake look different? Had the mountain moved since Hiroshima, Bergen-Belsen? Do those spirit children wander these shores, smell cedar and balsam, tread soft the forest duff, resilient forever? End Part 1. Ice out. Just as guests who bid farewell, loath to leave, still linger, so winter delayed this spring and could not bear to go. An otter pair played in and out of holes, swooped and slid, caught their fish and ate them. Delightful antic finale. A quiet day, and I returning late by flashlight from the boathouse roof, thought I saw or sensed or smelled dark open water there, a crack in winter's mantle. Certain at dawn I longed to stay to watch, to hear the slightest breeze start a tinkling carillon, candles splinter, shatter. I could not stay to hear it sing, or watch it undulate and vanish. I cannot tell just how it went, but it was gone when I came home, only a few forlorn fragments sloshing the shore. Kiwassa Road. Years ago, a trail for horse and cart from town to Lonesome Pond crosses a swamp, mounts Dewey Saddle, turns down to the left, and right away through birches to a great beach, our names nailed there for direction along the shore a mile or more. Curious the way it slows the pace going home. The same 3 miles, 12 years now, used to be a bridge from here to there, before I thought to tell twin fawns appear at Stewart's Hill, a hedgehog at the spring, pileated woodpecker on the tree. Love song. I am more driven by desire to mangle muse than press a shirt. I am more driven by desire to mix a metaphor than stir a cake. I am more driven by desire to scrub a simile than mop a floor. I am more driven by desire to tune my tongue and run away with nightingale. How then shall I forgive my love? Just point your finger. Nicholas and Megan come to the mountains to visit Grandma. March 21st, 1987. Nick is 9, needing to know firsthand how safe or otherwise the azure ice. Sun-baked, watching from the dock, I hear them alternately brave or sensible chirping. The long afternoon, under gentian sky, rivers and ponds form among corn snow beach drifts. From the boathouse appear the auger for holes, pump, poles to poke, pails, and plastic cups. Spring, equinox, summer at the beach. Crow calls, roof drips. Under my dangling boots, a foot of winter mutters and gurgles goodbye. Do I have a poem, especially for Halloween? Now let me think. Oh yes, of course. It was a dark and stormy night. The children were nestled all snug. What? That's for Christmas? Oh, yes, well, I'm sorry. I'll start again. We were in our little cabin in the big woods. What did you say? That's the little house? Oh, I see. Well, dear children, you must realize that when stories begin, you are frequently nestled all snug in your beds, and this time those beds were in the big, dark woods in the black Adirondack Mountains. Shh! Now listen. That was the sound of the gasoline lantern hung high in the rafters overhead. The refrigerator hummed now and again. Christopher and Robin, don't interrupt, they do sound familiar, but those were my children snug in their beds. Matthew the baby asleep in his buggy, Brandy the dachshund asleep on my bed. There were wood mice all over with big twitching ears. They scampered the eaves, their shiny eyes sparkled. They sat up to hear. I was reading the story about Almanzo, the trip that he took to the county fair. You remember that story about Farmer Boy? He lived near Malone, quite close to us there. But we were alone, all alone on that island in the middle of Saranac Lake. That's right. We were alone when the hunters called, "Hoo!" We were alone when the rabbits whimpered, scared to death in the owly night. Are you frightened enough? Should I tell of the wolves that howled in the forest? Is it spooky enough? Have I got it right? Are you frightened enough? Should I tell of the wolves that howled in the forest? Is it spooky enough? Have I got it right? The roof was of canvas. It flapped up and down. The rain splattered, sounding like thunder. The little mice ran over and under. There were ghosts on the wind. They'd come out from town to rattle our trees, shiver our knees. We knew there were foxes. We knew there were bears. We hoped they were sleeping all snug in their lairs. When all of a sudden, there was a great noise, like a cannon it struck. Brandy jumped under my bed. Kerchunk! It sounded. Two wide-eyed children sat up straight in their beds. What's that? They whispered. I'm sure I don't know. I haven't a clue, but I will find out what to do. And taking the flashlight, I crept to the door, opened it just a crack. The wind and the rain blew into the cabin and out the back. Actually, there wasn't a back, but it sounds great in the poem. But I had to find out what was making that clatter. I looked at the left and the right. I shined the dim flashlight into the forest. It didn't shine very much light. And then, right there at my feet, I heard them. At the foot of the steps they sat, high on their haunches, their paws tucked under their chins. Their bespectacled eyes looked at me, around me. They muttered and mumbled, "May we come in? Trick or treat? We came for the story, now may we come in?" And so, dear children, Do tell me soon. Have you guessed? Who were they? Raccoons! Raccoons! Old secrets. The poet says, "Do not destroy your firstborn." No matter many masters of the muse have ended life before you began to verbalize Polaroid pictography etched, computerized within your head. No matter they are fleeting, undeveloped, the seed is there. Distraction of those other days is done. Your thoughts need only watering, tiny nourishment to grow and bloom. Tell old women's secrets now. Be strong. Perhaps the young will listen to your song, for while the soaring singing voice is still, the words live on. Olympian. What will he do when he grows up? Chris was the first to ask on the deck that summer day before Calgary. I reminded him that his father had wondered similarly when he, Peace Corps bound, left for Africa to build kilns and dye batik. Now authors come to me seeking the source of Matthew's single-minded determination, dedication, compulsion to excel. I say it was his father. I talk of cars, fast cars, his father's joy, clocking himself New York to Saranac and back, shaving seconds perhaps. I speak of Matthew's early years, soccer, football, hockey, dangerous whitewater kayaking, worrisome. Getting closer. Yet I doubt myself. No, there's something else. Remember Matthew's stars? What else did Robert say? And in that moment, it comes clear. Near half a century ago, it was his father, there in the picture, who slipped the surly bonds of earth and soared where never lark nor even eagle flew. That was life's zenith, reached too soon for him, and legions more catapulted into danger, terrifying, omnipresent, omni-real, driven by excellence, discipline, achievement to shattering maturity. When they survived, as tens of thousands did, no dragons lay in wait at home, for they were wise beyond the years, still believing they had wasted time at Memphis, Jacksonville. JATO, Jet-Assisted Takeoff. Assimilated Transpac. Fly halfway twice to see if you can make it. To Hawaii, Kwajalein, Eniwetok, Okinawa, Saipan. 20th century Marco Polos aloft in Martin's Mariner. How do you suppose he knew the stars? And yet, he almost missed his war, for unknown that summer in that race, another competitor finished first at Hiroshima. Nagasaki won the gold. And oh, my young Olympian, they paid the price for you. Pollen. Drives me to distraction, this ditty. Jaunty, terrifying out of battle and PBS, haunts me dawn to dusk and then into the dark. The bells of hell go ding-a-ling-a-ling for you not for me. For me the angels sing-a-ling-a-ling, they've got the goods on me. O death, where is thy sting-a-ling-a-ling? O grave, thy victory? The bells of hell go ding-a-ling-a-ling, for you but not for me. Inevitably, the bells of hell go ding-a-ling-a-ling. Milestones mark the flow, for you but not for me. My lake is rhymed with saffron, saffron pollen from the pines. For me the angels sing-a-ling-a-ling, whirlwind blown, billowed horizontally end to end. They've got the goods on me. Like driven snow so short a time ago that now you'd think the painter, oh death, where is thy sting-a-ling-a-ling, had scoured his gaudy brushes all along the shore. O grave, thy victory, tons of vitality squandered. The bells of hell go ding-a-ling-a-ling. To what account nature so profligate? For you, but not for me. Rain. In slickered hood I wander where rain-reeked sponge of dankest stuff effuses fungal spore, acrid ancient mold, brush aside tamaracks, lace-sprigged, scented crystal shimmer shine, pungent hemlocks twig-tipped neon green. They say of all the senses smell, far and away triggers latent memory, most surely subtracts decades in momentary inspiration. I blink the prism from my lash and breathe a century. On Sanibel Island, it used to be the church bells were rung when a Junonia volute was found, one of the most prized of all shells native to American shores. I snatched this specimen from the surf in November of 1974 when Robert was terminally ill. The syllabic pattern, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the refrain suggest a dirge. Requiem, Junonia. Toll the bells, he will die, is dying now. See how the parchment scarce covers brittle bones. San Ibel, Saint Isabel, bright warmth remembered before time was measured. Toll, toll the bells. Full moon and night-long gale-blown high tide drowns the beach. Ocean and celestial confluence offer treasures rolling, receding, all lovely symmetry. Toll, toll, toll the bells. Glory found, Junonia, for his hand to hold against the time is done. Come, my love, the tide returns. Confront the shore where footprints fade forever. Toll, 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 toll the bells. Robin. Flaxen imp, gifted sprite, sang la-di-da in truest pitch before she talked. Old women on the park bench under the trees nod, agree. Ein Mensch, ja. September soon. 1. Face it. 3 fat, sleepy flies pray nose to nose on the lid of the jam jar. 2. An earnest chill last night. I open the flue, crumple newspaper, scrounge up kindling, strike the first match, think pumpkin pie. 3. Man the cannon, alert the fusiliers, nutcracker wood mice invade the cellar, hurry, scurry up the stair, reconnoitering. 4. Dawn comes white, frozen yogurt fog rolls and tumbles, windows steam, eaves drip, drip, but soon a shimmering shine. These are the days that sparkle. Maurice and Bob pack a lunch, launch the canoe. 5. Daily I circle Moody Pond. Alone the trip's a therapeutic 20-minute scurry. From time to time, 5-year-old Kate chatters the way, easily distracted. Red raspberries near the water, blueberries on the right-hand bank. She tells me, you stay over there, I'll pick this side. Then scampers zigzag like a squirrel. Yesterday only a few of those to find, yet the roadside was berry bright, red and yellow chokecherry hanging high, bunchberries. The main attraction, though, a giant fungus, dark brown, and curling leaves hugged the ground. Together we peered, pondered. Nameless it spoke, September soon. 6. The wise are brave, approach the lake in Turkish robes, plunge instantly into momentary stunning chill, then answer regretfully the wafting smell of coffee, bacon, and blueberry pancakes. Now, say goodbye to summer. Set up. Always before, perhaps forever. I thought a great tectonic split from the boathouse to the island, as from point A to point B, arrow straight, a faultless fault, this time gone astray, in parabolic wandering meanders to the north, away to the other shore. Black ice shuns all but sheerest veil. At night I listen, cold, so cold. Listen, still, so still. A fortnight, when each step on stair returning, a pistol shot to wake the neighbors or the dead, halfway halted by a different beat. Boom! 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 A kettle drum, a timpani, the crack. Snowy owl. Snowy owl, desolate harbinger, death's deliverer, why do you come to me? Ominous, Chilling out of the dark white fog of November flashes, slices my headlights, unmistakably following, meant for me. Hovers the rafters, finally roosts in the black, scragged hemlock, pointedly peering at me. All the long night after night he fluttered the hemlock tree. In silent scream I shouted at him, "What do you want of me? My children are well." "What do you mean?" I tread very cautiously. Now he is gone, and David is dead. Dead in his bottle and pills in the city. And that was the message he meant for me. The poet. Near a decade since they stood in my kitchen on Main Street, the kitchen doorway of Yum Yum Tree, famous for spirited truffles, my fingers deep in Little Dipper chocolate. Perfectly mismatched, the pair. The tall one familiar from the college with massive, dark, unruly hair. The other strange, a bantam rooster, balding, fringe of silver silk frizzed his ears, ponytail down his back. Murray, Jew, and Maurice, new resident Mohawk poet. Would there be room for him at Tamarack, which wasn't a tree, though students akin to strange birds nested there? A small fee was suggested. "You don't understand," they countered. "He is a penniless resident Mohawk poet." "Ah," I said, and demented too. "My 6 black giants will play hoops with him." The year advanced. A curious calm pervaded Tamarack. The student smiled. The poet smiled. We often met at Yum Yum, his stories full of gentle giants and those renegades on silver skates. His rules were simple and direct. No women here behind closed doors. No booze, he said. They worked it out. Traded favors, a ride from here to there, bartered for full stomachs. And yes, they washed the dishes. He learned to claim his share of stew before an evening class or go to bed hungry. He never missed a game. The cheering fan became the keeper of the penalty gate. Tit for tat, they were his devoted claque. Crowded the lecture hall as he read to them the songs of his people, brought to them from the city, songs they had never heard of theirs. It was a celestial symbiosis. He met their parents, became an altar member of the family. Eventually he left that tree for one that overlooks the lake, where the setting sun illuminates Mackenzie and Scarface in purple mountain majesty fitting for a poet. They all return, those nestlings, full of education and accomplishment. I hear them call him Father. The stars. His father was 10 years gone when Robin and I asked Matthew, "Tell us, how do you remember Dad?" "Oh," he said, "the nights wrapped in sleeping bags out on the grass. He told me all about the stars." Think about it. When sturdy Chris was small, no more than 4, I lost my temper. Spilled milk syndrome, I suspect. "Why are you so mad?" he asked. "I don't know," I wept. "You must forgive me. I never was a mother before." "Nor I a child," he said. Why couldn't I say, see what you've done, and call a halt to rampage? The trail's beginning is a federal prison now. Scarface, shadowed from the south, Scarface, scarred day, scarred memory. He and I were there, Christopher at 17, Matthew 5, not very bright brandy, feisty, liver-colored dachshund, always climbed the mountains twice or more to scout ahead that all was safe, and once again as escort through threatening chipmunk armies, a one-man dog, they said. Near the trailhead lay stove-length birch logs, left by some considerate ranger. He said we'd take some back by boat to camp. The day darkened as we climbed. We only stayed a moment at the top in wind and rain, took cover just off the peak under a pine whose branches swept the ground. We laughed, were snug. He loaned me his jackknife to split a block of chocolate on my knee. It sliced through sudden, cut me deep. The storm was brief, and in an hour we were down, considering the pile of logs. Why had he turned surly? Did he think it stealing? Surely not. Would it dirty the car? Not much. Was he too tired? Chris would do it. He wouldn't say. Chris, in charge of firewood supply, wanted it, loaded some. It only took a moment. Ominously, silently he drove, jagged, ragged, jerking, swerving, cutting in and out. Dear God, what have we done? Dear God, make it easy for him. Hurry, hurry, load the boat. Hurry, hurry, frantic, futile, the rush to please, placate him. And there was a report from the road above, a freezing, ferocious sound. And I knew, interrupted synapses, brain-ordered refused to run, stumbling, slipping, sliding, tripping, falling up the graveled roadside. He was chipmunk chasing dead. The scar is on my knee. World Cup, Mount Van Hovenberg, February 1987. Bitter cold abates. 10 below. Brilliant sun predicted. Last week, 20 below at Kawasa, translated 30 below at the foot of the mountain, 40 below at start. Brittle blue surrounded, brittle blue, that mile-long Paleolithic serpent halfway bulged at Shady, digesting sleds and sliders. Tree-mounted black box warns against frostbite. Railing-mounted coaches, rail officials in the track, inspect the work crews night-long, consider the wind chill. Vapor lamp illuminated labor, spraying, hosing, slushing, building ice, gray, brittle in the dark. Healing cuts and gouges, scraping the snake's great belly. Television crews, ill-prepared, from elevated plywood vantage points dance their ritual jiggle. Focus. Jiggle their ritual dance, pan, preparing, anticipating, lose the battle, retreat to heated van. Athletes, two to a sled, driver and brake, long since transported, flex, stretch, and pace, caged in warming huts at the crest of the mountain, from time to time in skin-tight suits emerging, shiver, skitter, slide stiff-legged over the ice, testing glassy runners exposed to the sun, their sleds for all the world a school of harpooned seals lying on their sides in precise rows, waiting. That was 6 days past. Matt and Jim, home from Winterberg, Sarajevo, Innsbruck, Samoritz, and Chervinia, with frosted faces, claimed the two-man gold. Trophies raised high in victory and confidence. Then, for the first time, 4 men falter. The long week in practice, they are neither the swiftest nor even the surest. Twice, disaster, only narrowly averted. Hovenberg's demon trolls lie in wait at cliffside, set their traps at 2, tip the sled. Set their snares at 6, tip the sled. Twice, black box, disembodied, ominous reports, 81. The sled is on its side, a ton of steel and flesh out of control, almost. Only a moment, and then, with a mighty heave, they set it right again. Right again? Oh, never in this world, for on its side the sled has spewed forth pride, confidence, dreams of excellence and glory. The trolls have swept it up, carried it all away. Now in its place creep disbelief, doubt, confusion, grief, and fear. 600 times Matt estimates he's driven Hovenberg. He listens numbly to the coach. Think through the curve correctly 100 times. He does that. Fetishes appear, magic to banish trolls. He will not eat an egg for breakfast. It happened twice. Jim's totem bear will ride the sled. Other spells I dare not tell. Friday night, guests begin to appear. Parents, friends, sponsors. Word is whispered round, excuses offered, fatigue, frustration, stress. Team and sled wisely disappear. There's work to do. They leave us all to worry night away. At 10, the parking lots are filled, flags waving, scoreboard lit, 2 lines for tickets at the gate. The run is shaded against the sun. We gather scoring sheets, running order, call the draw. He's number 10. Black box spouts statistics. 1 mile from standing start to right-angled finish, 90 miles an hour there, a 60-second run if all goes well. The record held by Eckhard Fosser of Switzerland in 1983, 58 and 99 100th seconds. We climb along the track. 2 pilot sleds fly by. Oh, say, can you see? No, but we face down the hill and sing, look to Whiteface, snow-covered, sun-bright to the north, and think, 9 sleds, 30 minutes more at least. At curve 12, A wooden bridge spans the road. From its zenith we can hear the sleds roar into Shady, see them fly through paper birch approaching Little S, straight away to 12, to slither, zig, and zag. At each curve, a watchman in his stilted hut reports the sled's advance. Black box tells the 50-year-old litany. 60 seconds. Everyone accounted. 5 or less for start. Rock, rock, rock. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're off. Feet flying, sinews bulging, crowd roaring over the edge and down. Halfway at Shady, listen. Less than 33. Again at Zag, listen. More than 48. The warming ice is fast. Every sled at finish, less than 60, more than 59. When 9 have gone, I walk to the center of the bridge, turn to face the mountain, lift my head, shut my eyes, cast my spell. Weiche Nibelungen, go away, hide yourselves, for I am Erde, Earth Mother. This is my son, fairest of the fair, ich warnte euch. You dare not threaten him today. The litany begins. Clear the track to the mile. The track is clear to the mile. For USA 1, the team of Matt Roy, Brian Scheimer, Scott Pladell, and Jim Herberich in the starting run. Attention! And they're off. 4:85. Taking 1. Approaching 2. Taking the curve. Approaching cliffside. Through cliffside. Approaching 6. Taking the curve. Approaching 7. Taking the curve. Through 8. Approaching Big Shady. Taking Shady, 32.21. On the straightaway to Little S, taking the curve. They're zigging, they're zagging, approaching 15, through 15, 48.09, they're flying down the long straightaway to finish, taking finish, through and down. Finish time for USA 1. A new track record, 58 and 75/100ths. A victorious cheer erupts. I breathe my gratitude and turn.
Introduction. Margaret Roy is a most exceptional woman. Her life and career has been as varied and colorful as the spectrum. Wife and mother, opera singer, and musical comedy actress under the direction of Leonard Bernstein in his Broadway production of Candide, entrepreneur of a truffle shop, music teacher, a returnee to the class years after receiving a master's degree and a tenure of teaching in New York City, fiction writer and poet. She has achieved through rich creative energy and hard work success in all her fingers literally and metaphorically have touched. She came to writing not as a college student or as an English literature major, but as an adult who saw cloud formation over the Adirondack Mountains and her own habitat on Kawassa Lake. Clouds led to lady slippers, the great forests, animals within, and eventually the titters and giggles of her grandchildren. A formidable artist in music, she easily took up the legal pad and pencil and commenced writing lyrics that were as accomplished as those of poets who'd practiced their trade for decades. Her endeavor is fraught with excitement, delight, electricity, and a love and knowledge of language, which she wields with the dexterity of a skyhawk, and often the growl of a mountain black bear. Beware, this is a new voice, and a voice which commands attention and deserves applause. If the reading world is looking for a new, sincerely lush voice in poetry, a voice enhanced with metaphor and depth of idea, well, here is Margaret Roy. Make room, make a place, as she is here to stay. Maurice Kenny, December 14th, 1994, Saranac Lake, New York.